Hello, everyone. It is time for Facebook Live on Friday, this time instead of Thursday. Sorry, I had to cancel last minute. Yesterday, somebody backed into me at the dentist parking lot and then left. So I had to call the police, had to call insurance. It was a whole thing. Sorry, now my laptop is... Now it wants me to do something. Change how I sign in. Okay, we don't have time for this. Goodness. If it's not one thing, it's another. And then I was going to do Facebook Live today at 3, but then my daughter-in-law said, can I watch the kids this afternoon? Which, of course, I can. So I'll get to play with my grandsons this afternoon. So that's why we are doing this a little bit early. I'm just going to get on Facebook on my laptop so I can get this copied over to my page in case somebody's looking for it there. So that will take me just a minute. We are playing, oh, here, I'll let you look at this while I'm doing this. This is called the Lovely and Beautiful Suite. It is what I call a mega suite. So it has a lot of stuff. So it has 2 bundles, embellishments, and paper. So a lot of good stuff here. All right. Almost there. All right, let me get back over where I was. Good. And we'll be ready to go. Okay, we're ready. So this is the second, not really the second week, kind of. Anyway, this is the week I'm doing a full class for Facebook Live. So I really need to reprint this, but you get a kit for all 4 of the cards we're going to make with a $50 order. So just all the paper to make the cards. And then if you do a $75 or more, then you get the 4 cards, the kit for the 4 cards and a free embellishment. Now, if you want to make these cards exactly, you'll have to have these bundles, but I'll provide the paper. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, 2 more things. I'm out of practice. This is the card we made last week. Well, it wasn't live, but you got to see it on last Thursday. And I will tell you at the end who won this. So everybody that comments on Facebook is in the drawing to win one of the cards from today. And I'll tell you which one it is when we're making them. So I'll tell you at the end who won this one from last week. And then also on my blog, shortly after this video, will be the dimensions for the card I'm going to give away. So let's get started. So just to show you up close, these are the 2 bundles, Simply Beautiful. So the stamp set and the dies, and these dies are fabulous. You will see them on the cards we're making today. And then the other bundle is Beautifully Celebrated. So it's got some really nice big sentiments. And then you can make flowers. These will cut out the stamps, but then you can make flowers too. And we're going to do that on one of the cards. So you can see that. All right, let's get started. This is our first card. And this is, now I've forgotten the name already. I'm telling you, my brain is still on vacation, I think. So I went to just finding my colors that I need. Petal Pink. So we are using Petal Pink and Pecan Pie on this card. I was able to go to California last week. That's why I was out of town. For the Stampin' Up! Convention. Not that one, this one. I'm just getting all my pieces for this card because they're all in one bucket in a blend. So we went to On Stage, it's called, in California last week. 2.5 days of watching stamping and listening to people talk about new things that are coming. And I did not grab any of that, so I'll show you that another time. Because you won't be able to get any of this stuff until the new catalog comes out in May. So no need to show you yet. All right, so let's make this card. Have all my pieces here. That's going to be for our sentiment. We need to do some stamping on that. And I'm going to grab, so I die cut out of vellum 2 of the dies. But this one we're going to do a little bit of work on before we put it on. So I've got my light pecan pie. And I'm just going to take it and I'm using the brush end. And I'm just brushing it on here. And I don't have to get all the way to the end because that's going to be tucked underneath. So we can set that aside. You can see it just gave it a little bit of color. All right, let's stamp our, and I am going to grab my, no I'm not because they're not right there. Oh well, this is outline, it should be fine. I usually do a Stampin' Pierce mat under my photopolymer, but they are over on the cart since I left town immediately after a class. So I had a class last Tuesday, then I left town early Wednesday morning. And then with everything that's been going on this week, I haven't even had time to put things away. So we are going to just, we will hopefully have, oh yeah, I have my bag with adhesives from On Stage, so I can use that. So we just stamped 3 flowers, just the outline of them, that's it. I'm done with that. Now let's get the sky. And we're going to use pecan pie. And this just says, thinking of you. And it doesn't have to be straight because we're going to cut it out. So, good thing it doesn't have to be straight because that is not, is it? All right. Grab my scissors. Everything is in my little bag still from On Stage. We got to do some make and takes at On Stage, and then there was a after hours event where you paid for a bundle and then they gave you a kit so you could make some cards with that bundle. So I'll show all of that to you hopefully next week if I remember. Like I said, I haven't even done any unpacking yet of my crafting stuff. Of course, I had my new catalog with me on the plane. I wasn't taking any chances of it getting lost. We were lucky. We had smooth, well, the flights weren't themselves necessarily smooth. We did have turbulence. There was a storm in Little Rock when we left. But no travel issues whatsoever. We were at the airport 1.5 to 2 hours early just to be safe and had no problem whatsoever getting through security, anything. So we were very fortunate. I did leave my tennis shoes there in California. I'd had those shoes for probably at least 10 years when my youngest son and I went to Europe with his French class. So he was in 7th grade or finished 7th grade the first time we went, I think. Those were the shoes I took with me because they were lightweight, they were comfortable. By the time we were done at Disney, the soles were pulling away from the uppers, and I'm like, okay, these have lasted me a good long time. I think I can let them go now. All right, so I have a petal pink background. Dimensionals. Okay. And this is I didn't even show you the paper, but this is the paper that goes with this suite. And you can tell I've been using it a lot. It's really pretty. All right. The main question is, where is my green glue? Look how pretty that is on the back. You hate to cover that up too. But I wanted this to be a little more subtle since it is a thinking of you card. Okay, there we go. I don't want to lose that. And I put, this is just another piece of Petal Pink. And I put it down just flat. Like that. And this guy's going to go up on dimensionals. And I'm just going to put 3 in the middle because I am going to tuck those vellum pieces in behind. Put that in the middle. These are those dies I showed you in that one set. I just love them. All right, now we have our leaf that has a little bit of pecan pie and then this little guy. So now there's my green glue. Still in my bag from Stampin' Up or from On Stage. Okay. So I'm just going to take a little bit of green glue. I don't like to do it right over my card. That is plenty. And I just kind of tuck that up in there. Kind of stick your fingernail underneath and then the same thing for this guy. And I like to leave the ends of my dies like this loose. This guy can go right in there. Again, stick my finger under there. Now the last thing we need is our sentiment. I'm going to grab my mini dimensionals. Hang on, they're over here. I guess I don't have one started. And put on just that one end of the sentiment because the other end is going to be up on. So when you put this on here, this white is popped up, but this isn't, so I need to put one down here. And then I'll put a little bit of green glue on this end so it'll stick. And then the last thing, these are the embellishments that go with this. They are called pearlized faceted circles. They are really, it's kind of hard to tell, but they're really shiny. Oh, I forgot I did Wink of Stella on the flowers too. So let's do, we've used these in class, as you can tell. Let's do one of those. Those, and then a little dark one. So I just used one. Well, those two may be the same. Just use what I have. But I forgot. You may not be able to tell on this, but there's Wink of Stella in the centers. Yeah, you can kind of see of those cards. So just a little bit of Wink of Stella there. I forgot that when I was teaching. These cards were ones that I used for my team meeting in February. So just using the same designs for this Facebook Live. All right, there is our first card. Very nice. Okay, next card. Oh, and I didn't pull the blends. All right, we need this guy. And then, let's see, Peach Pie. So Peach Pie blends, Calypso Coral blends, and Fresh Freesia. Luckily, they're all right over here. Okay. So what I did on this one is I took some of the Designer Series paper. So this is just a gold, white and gold paper. And I colored it with blends. So let's do our Peach Pie light. I'm going to start with the dark. Now, you do have to be a little bit more careful on Designer Series paper. They tend to bleed a little bit more than just your regular basic white. So I'm just putting some dark in the middle there. And then I'm going to take my light and blend it out. I should have had one of these already done, so you didn't have to wait for me to color it all. It won't take that long. And I'm doing one flower at a time just so that dark is still wet enough that I can blend it. Now, I didn't do any of the leaves. I just did the flowers. You could certainly do leaves too if you wanted to. And I'm just kind of resting those in there. I'm not putting it all the way back on until I'm done with that color. All right, one more of this color. And I didn't worry about what type of flowers they were, if this was a natural color for that type of flower. I actually picked out colors that were in the DSP. So because I'm not using any of the other DSP, I could have done these in any color I wanted. But just kind of keeping with the theme, I did them in the same colors as is in the DSP. All right, so there's our Peach Pie. And then the little ones, and you can do, you know, whatever, just depends on what cut you have, whether you have a lot of little ones, some big ones. I think I'm going to use the small end. So this is Calypso Coral. I'm just going to color around that a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and do more than one because they are small. I only have 3 total, so so I'm just giving them a little bit of dark right around the center. I think I better use my small end. And then just kind of pull that out. These ones are really small. All right, one more. Now, almost always when I'm coloring like this, I'm like, oh, there's one there, I forgot. Okay, we'll see if I find any more. So that's the Calypso Coral. Now we'll do, this is the Fresh Freesia. So I'll start, if I can get it off. Now, you'll notice in my card, I just did these. To me, they look like Morning Glories, but I really didn't have any of these big ones, just a little in this corner. But because I have 2 big flowers, I don't want to just leave them undone. So I'm going to do this Morning Glory one and those 2 in the Fresh Freesia. All right. This one I'll put dark here around the center. a little bit there, and then I think I'll put a little bit along the base. All right, let's blend that out. I'm just going over where the dark is first, and then I can go back and finish. There we go. There's one of the big flowers. Let's do this one. Again, we'll do around the inside with the dark. And then we'll do a little bit of shading where those would overlap. Just a little bit. All right. Blend that darker color out. You can always go back and add more dark if you decide that you want to. All right, let's see. Oh, I think this is actually part of it too. Sometimes it's hard to tell where the flower ends, but I think that's good. And again, if you wanted to color your leaves, you absolutely could. I would probably pick like soft sea foam or something not too dark. All right, let's set that aside. And you do want to be sure you have something underneath because it will go through your paper. Let's get our other pieces out. This is the ribbon that goes with this suite. Let's see what it's called. It is called ribbon. Gold, white ribbon. So it's really pretty. It does fray easily. So something to remember when you're using it. Sometimes that's a fun look though. So this is a peach pie card base. And we are going to stamp Wedding Wishes in Calypso Coral. That was one of the blends that we used. We're just going to stamp that at the bottom. I'm going to open it up so it's not, stamp that at the very bottom. And then we need peach pie. And there's these little, I don't know, just little, these little guys. Something got on there. So we're going to just stamp those around in peach pie. Actually, I do want it folded now. Just around the outside. When I was designing this, I was like, it needs just a little something else. So just stamp a few of these around the outside. And I'm turning it so it's not the same every time. You can do a little bit there at the bottom on your wishes. And this is one of the colors that will be going away. When the new catalog comes out in May, Peach Pie is one of the in colors that will be going away. So if you don't have it and you want it, don't delay. All right, so we're going to wrap our ribbon around. And tie it in a knot. And I'm just doing it around this piece that we colored. Maybe should have cut that a little bit longer, huh? Come on. Of course, it's always twice as hard to tie anything on camera as it is when you're just doing it yourself. Come on, come on. Just about got it. Okay. Phew. And you can see some of that came off. So we're going to slide this. Actually, it doesn't have to go all the way over. We're not putting anything on top of it. And then trim that up. Trim those ends. Whoops, not the whole thing. That is going to go flat on this. This is Calypso Coral. I like this peach pie Calypso Coral combination. Actually, I think I popped this piece up, but we'll pop this piece up this time. I forgot. It's been a while since I first made these, so we'll just do this one instead. Put one in the middle. And I did not put any gems on this one with that ribbon. I didn't add any gems to it. And then that just goes in the middle there. And I have a niece getting married in about a month, so I can give her one of these. All right. Next card. And this is the one that I will be giving away next week. It's this guy. So this is our Fresh Freesia again. You can see that beautiful paper. Oh, and I forgot to grab one of those. That's the other thing in this suite. Those are already die cut. Let me see. Let me see if I can grab them real quick. Oh, here they are. I got them. I forgot about them. So there's just a whole packet of these. These are Beautifully Adorned Ephemera pack. So we'll grab one of those when we're ready. The only stamping we're doing on this one is our sentiment in Old Olive. And it's one of the big sentiments. This calls for a celebration. Oh, I got that on there really crooked. Hopefully I can stamp it better than I got it on the pad. And again, this is outlined, so it should be fine without the foam mat. Okay. Set that over there. Again, we have some of our ribbon, and we're tying it up and down this time. So kind of figure out which way you want it to go. I think I want it to go that way. Tie it on the left side. Looks like I left myself more tying room this time, so that's good. Now, depending on when my daughter-in-law says she's bringing the kids over, I will try and get this all put up on my blog and on YouTube before they come over. But if she texts me right after I'm done, because she said it'll be between 2:30 and 3, probably, whenever they get up from their naps. So if you don't see the blog post up right away or on YouTube, don't panic. It will be there. All right, so trim those so you can see how it frays like that. Trim that. You have a piece of Fresh Freesia. This guy, mine is his ribbon bits. Goes flat on here. Where's my, here it is. Lost my Stampin' Seal. Let's make sure that's even. Because it doesn't look quite even on the back. slide that over just a little bit. Okay. This goes on your fresh freesia. So if you place an order, you'll get all the paper. And if there are die cuts, I will die cut them, but you would have to have stamps too. I can't sell anything or give anything that's already stamped. It's against Stampin' Up! Policy. So I'm just going to put one on each end. And this goes down here. And then we need to grab our little leaf from here. I'm going to try and pull this out so I can show you everything. It's easier to take all of it out and then put it back than it is to try and pull out one sheet. And I believe you get 2 sheets. So 2 sheets like this. You can tell there were leaves here that we used. Two like this. And 2 like this. So I used whoops, not you. I don't need you. One of these. I'll have to play around with some more of those. Those are beautiful. All right, let's set them out of our way for now. Again, just a little bit. And these are like our vellum. It's sturdy. So a little bit of green glue at the base. You don't want to put it all the way up on this one because it will show through. And I just tucked it in right there. So it's pretty subtle, but just adds a little bit more of that gold glimmer to it. All right, one more to go. I think this one's my favorite. This is the last one. So this is using those dies that I was telling you about, where you could build a flower with dies. Let's get all our pieces. Hopefully we don't lose any. This is our only stamping. So let's do that. And this is with Old Olive again. And it says, holding you in my heart. And we're going to cut around it, but we'll just stamp it first. Okay, that's our only stamping. And I did use this Lovely Stripes embossing folder for this background. I love it. I love embossing folders. All right, let's start building this, and then we'll add our sentiment. Or we'll cut it out. Actually, I'm going to make my flower first. Oh, see, I almost lost that leaf already. All right, so what you're going to do, this is, to me, the bigger one is the bottom layer. So I'm going to put a little bit of green glue in the middle. And this is where your take your pick tool comes in very handy. Pick up that, and you just want to offset the petals. So these 3 are going in between those other ones. And then again, a little bit of green glue in the middle. And pick up your, this is Darling Duckling. Put it in the middle. All right, there's our flower. Let that set while we work on the rest of this. So again, this is Old Olive. And we're going to add our embossed piece. And I, excuse me, I like to use my liquid glue on anything that's embossed. It just gets in those crevices better. So just put that in the middle. And this is a little bit bigger than, normally I would do 1/4 of an inch less. This time I only did 1/8 of an inch less. I don't know why, I just felt like it. Something different. This guy goes, look at that pretty purple and green and gold foil. Put that in the middle. All right, let's cut out our sentiment. Now you can, if you're not comfortable just freehand cutting like this, you can take a pencil and lightly trace around. If that makes you feel better, you kind of know where you're going. I just go for it. And you'll notice when I'm doing this that I'm moving my paper and my scissors stay the same. Just makes for a better, smoother cut. All right. Come on. There we go. All right, this guy goes on flat too. Couldn't even tell if it was coming out. Just put him there. And then if I remember right, I glued my leaves to the bottom of my flower. So let me just put a little bit of glue. At the bottom of the leaf. And I'm just going to set that on top. Hold it for just a few seconds so that glue can adhere. And we should have done this before we did the rest, but that's okay. Again, a little bit of glue on the bottom. It's not coming out. Glue on my finger. Come on. There we go. Now we got some. This guy will go up here. Whoops. So again, I'm just going to hold that on there. And then you can pick up the whole thing. We need mini dimensionals again. And just put a mini dimensional in the middle of this. Whoops, do not need that back on my flower. There we go. And then you just want to be sure when you put this on that your leaves don't go off the edge. All right, and then we need some more gems. So we'll put one of those there. And a couple there. And there you go. There is our last card, card number 4. So let me pull them all back out. So that's everything that we made today. And again, if you place an order of $50 or more, it has to be by Monday. I don't think I mentioned that. It's on the little thing, but no, it's, yeah, by Monday. Then you will get a kit, the paper for this and the ribbon for these. You will not get the embellishments with a $50 order. If you place an order of $75 or more, then you get the kit for the 4 cards plus a free embellishment. All right, by Monday. All right, I think that's it. Again, I will get whatever I can done before the grandkids come over. If I don't get it all done today, I'll finish it up tomorrow. You'll have the This is the card that we'll give away. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you one last week's. This is the card I'll give away next week, and the card that will have the dimensions on my blog. This is the card we made last week, and its winner is Debbie. So I am going to see her Monday for a class, so I'll give it to her then. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.